Hello everybody, I'm Kamaleao, welcome to my channel. Somewhat recently, I got back into playing Age of Empires 2. One of the main reasons is it's still an amazingly good RTS game, one of my favorites still. And it's got an HD re-release on Steam and probably other platforms a while ago. And by now they have 3 new expansions: the Forgotten Empires, the African Kingdoms, and like a week or 2 ago, Rise of the Rajas, with new civilizations, new balance between the existing civilizations, and so on and so forth. And yeah, it's still a great RTS. And what I thought I'd do is just give you a few hints and tips about what you should do when you get into this game for the first time, or for the first time in a long time. And this is the things I would have loved to know when I started the game again. So yeah, let's get back to it. I'm going to do everything I'm doing a little bit too slow, because I want to show and explain everything. So in an actual game, when you're doing this, you should do it quicker. First of all, change the speed to fast, because, well, who's got the time? Now, with most civilizations, you start with 1 scout and 3 villages. That's standard. There are some civilizations with a different start, but this is the normal thing. You start with 200 wood, 200 food, 100 gold, 200 stone. Again, differs from civilizations, but this is the standard. The Magyars, which is what I'm playing right now, they are not different. Now what you do is, 2 of the villagers build 1 house, 3rd villager builds another house, and you send your scout to scout. I'm holding shift, and then I can put these waypoints, and for the last one I stop hitting shift and it starts running. At the same time, you pick your town center and just create villages, 4 of them. The villagers go back to your town center, and you find your sheep, send 2 of them close, and start taking food from the sheep. You can put your waypoint with right click on that, so now the villagers that come out instantly go there. Now you can use your sheep to scout. That is better, but I'd say early on that's definitely not necessary. It's better, but it's better to get the basics in. Now you have 3 villagers here. They keep on the sheep. Make sure you always have new sheep there, and that they're constantly working, and always all of them work on 1. The new villager that came out goes to wood and builds a lumber camp. And I put my mark there. Now it's a bit different what you want to do or what you can do. I prefer to go with more villagers first before I get loom. And your scout just keeps on finding sheep. They are somewhere around your base. So now I have 3 villagers on wood. I research loom. When you do this, it doesn't really matter. You should get it fairly early. You're going to need an additional house. This is not perfect placement. It's better to place it... while I'm at it, I might just place it perfectly. So what I want to do generally with my houses, except for the first 2, which I just build as quickly as possible, is I want to kind of restrict access to my base. So I'm going to build houses in a line here, and then close off here, and then it's going to be more difficult to get into my base. Now, more villagers. And the next 3 villagers I'm going to send over there to the berries. And he goes berries, that's okay. He finishes building that and also goes berries, and that's the third on berries. Now the next villager I'm going to send out. You take the sheep. Just send that around. Going to build another house here. And then I'm going to lure the boar. Luring the boar is very important. You go wood. So those that come out then go back on wood. Luring the boar is very important, because those give 340 food, that's a lot. What you do, as soon as your villager hits it 2 times, it's going to follow the villager essentially endlessly until it loses sight. So I hit it once, twice, and now I can run away. And it's going to follow me. And I'm going to drag it under my town center and use these guys to kill it. And now it's dead. And we have it right nicely, quickly here, so they don't have to walk to drop off the food. And yeah, that's fastest way to get food. He just keeps on scouting. Now, there's different things you can do. I'm going to put one on gold, but this is already dependent on what you're planning for later. You will either put somebody on gold most of the time, sometimes on stone if you want to go for early towers. That depends on your strategy. Now you just get the next. That was not perfect. The next one should be there when they are done. This is when I'm talking and explaining at the same time. It's a little bit slower, everything. So you just pull the next one in. Up, so that was only 1 hit, then that happens. So 1, 2, and go. In the online, because there's always a little bit of lag, you have to hit the running away a bit earlier. So, and I'm going to make farms with the 2 injured ones. You want to keep the 2 injured ones close to the town center, because they can garrison in there, and if enemies attack the injured ones, they just die quicker, though these ones are barely injured. You go scout some more. And now at around 23 population, I'll hit feudal age. This is somewhat standard-ish opening to get to feudal age quickly. I put the first, so just as a recap, the first thing you do is take 2 of your villagers, build a house, take the 3rd villager, build a house, queue up as many villagers as you can, and send your scout running. Hopefully your scout will find the sheep quickly enough. Oops, that's not cute. If your villager, if you don't find the sheep quickly enough, use your villagers to just get wood until you find the sheep. Then you put 6 villagers on sheep. The next 3 villagers go out here to the nearest wood line, build a lumber cap, 3 on wood. The next 3 you send to berries. All the while you make sure you have enough houses, ideally placed so that you get a makeshift wall. And yeah, 3 there, 6 on sheep, 3 on wood, 3 on berries, then back to wood. While you're doing that, find all the sheep and start luring both boars. The 2 injured villagers build farms right next to your town center. And then, depending on what you're planning to do later on, put some on 1 to 3 on gold. Probably 3 makes more sense, or some on stone. It depends heavily on what you want, what you're planning for later. So that's my standard opening. It varies a bit, as I said, on your plan later. If you want, for example, to go very quickly into Castle Age, you will stay in Dark Age a little bit longer and make more villages and to gather more gold and more food. But yeah, that's the general opening. And that when you have this down, you get into Feudal Age quickly, you can start building military quickly, and that can really help you defending against rushes and everything. Okay, now a little bit later into the game. Notice I'm not making any military units yet. That's actually not correct. I should do that. The thing is, I'm playing against an easy AI. The easy AI doesn't rush, and I have time, and this is easier to show you what I want to do. Now, as you can see here, I'm using the buildings that I have to build. My houses, my blacksmith, barracks, archery range, and everything to kind of build a makeshift wall around my base. In those tiny spaces where there's only one tile, I put in a piece of palisade or stone wall, depending on what I want. And even though this wall isn't amazing, like over here I have stone wall, it's not easy to get through this early on, so no problem. But if I build stone walls everywhere, that costs a lot of stone early on, and that's something I don't have. I have to build these buildings anyway, so I use them as walls. Might think, oh, but he'll destroy my houses. Yeah, he will, but it's less problematic if he destroys your houses than if he kills your villages. Even if your wall isn't perfect, like, you could still get through here. But you can only get through here. Not through here, not through here, and not through here. And that makes it far easier to defend, because I only have to defend on this spot. And he has to find this spot first, so if he runs up over here... oh, I can't get in here, there's a wall. Maybe I already see it on the mini-map, and then I know, oh, he's going to attack me. Then he runs back, comes here, oh, there's a forest. Oh, there's wall. There's more wall. There's another forest. There's a little bit more makeshift wall. Ah, there's the entrance. It just takes time, and time is very important, gives you just, time to react. Oh. Grab that upgrade while I'm here. So yeah, that's what you want to do. Use your buildings as walls. Now the next thing that's very important, and a lot of people do wrong, build town centers. Build lots of town centers. You are most likely not going to have enough town centers. Most people, or many people early on in the game, me certainly, try to get away with as few town centers as possible. And that is not good. For several reasons. If somebody gets in here, and I have to pull all these villagers into the town center, I cannot really produce too many new villagers. I can produce them and keep them garrisoned, so they don't run out. But they don't do anything, and when the building is full, then that's it. So he could essentially block my... Oh, wolf. He could essentially block my my villager production by blocking this town center. If I have multiple town centers spread over, or spread out on the map, that's less of a problem. Let's pick up some upgrades. Doesn't really matter, that's not too important. Not for what I want to show. Yeah. So build town centers. The second important reason is you want to have as many villages as possible as quickly as possible. And you are not going to keep up the villager production with another player with only one town center. So as soon as you hit the castle age, make sure you have some stone and enough wood, and build at the minimum, and this is the bare minimum, have 3 town centers. More is almost never wrong. If you can get the resources to build more, build more. This brings me right into the next thing, which is what I'm doing wrong right here. I have all these town centers and they're doing nothing. This should essentially never happen. All your town centers, just H is the hotkey for it. Have them working all the time. For that, it's important to always build enough houses and to have enough food income. So you make farms. That's essentially the most important thing to do. Have enough town centers and have them build villages all the time. Your town center should... in a perfect game, your town center should never do nothing. Should always be working. Another thing that also plays in with the town center stuff is don't put all your eggs in one basket. I have this first wood line and there are not that many villages on it, and that's intentional. I don't want all my villages on one on one wood line. And I don't want all of them gathering food here. I want it to spread out. And you should be working. The reason is raiding. If this town center gets raided, and I have to pull all the villagers off into the town center, and this is my only food supply, then I get no more food. But if he raids this, and I have to pull all of them in, I still get food up here. And up here. And, no, well, not up here. But you get the point. Same thing with wood. If he, like, builds a tower here, makes a tower rush, I can just take all of them away and run them somewhere else. And there's not a big problem. So try to spread out your villagers and let them work on different situations. And yeah, that's essentially... One of them is an early game tip, or a complete game tip. Until you reach your goal of villager production, or of villagers, have your town centers work all the time. Never have them be idle. Always make sure there is stuff going on. That's very important. Second thing, build enough town centers. Third thing, as soon as you reasonably can, spread out your economy. Don't put everything at the same place. Now, what's a good villager population? I'm playing on 200 population limit, and I'm getting housed. And I'm aiming to have at least 100 villages. At least. Probably more. And the reason for that, well, I'll show you later when I'm a little bit further ahead in the game. Okay, now I'm a little bit later into the game. Next things that are important is... first of all, I was trying to find more gold. Usually you shouldn't do that with villagers, but, well, not so important. Not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is what you do in the kind of mid to late game. First things first, I am at 133 population. I have no military units yet. This is very bad, you shouldn't have that. You should build up military pretty quickly. I'm doing this to show you how many villages you want, or you need, really. What? I'm getting attacked? Okay. I have to do something else, so I just garrison them in. And now, why do you need so much food and stuff? Because you want to be able to do this. Just mark them all and make a ton of units. Quickly. Production queue is full. Come out here. So I had no units when he attacked me, which is very bad, should never happen. But nevertheless, he's going to die. Because he's busy over there. And I have a ton of halberdiers very, very quickly. And he's just going to get wrecked. So let's talk about that first. So you want to have that many villages. Even though your army is going to be smaller, your army is going to die. That's just a given, that happens. And you don't win generally by having the bigger one-time army. Like a one-punch army, and then if that dies, then there's nothing you can do. You win by having more sustained troops than your enemy. By being able to field more units than your enemy over time. Because if you can replace your troops as quickly as they die, then it doesn't really matter that much. Sure, if you only have one unit and every time you send that out it dies, and then you build another one, like 199 villages and one military unit, that's not good. But I very, very often see newer people online playing with like 50 or 60 villagers, and that's terrible. That's just really, really terrible. Because, yeah, you have a bigger army, but it takes you quite a while to build that army up. Because, well, you're getting resources far slower than everybody else. And once that army dies, it will take you forever to build it up again. And that's very, very problematic. Now, next thing I wanted to talk about is resources later in the game. Also something that newer people tend to do is underestimate how much resources you lose or how slower your resource gathering is through the walking time of the villages. This is far too far away. Do not hesitate to build new lumber camps very close to your wood line. Another thing that happens is, yeah, he probably got killed or zoned off, doesn't matter. Another thing that happens is over here. Those guys were mining gold, and the gold is gone, so they just stand around. That's not good. You want to either use them, or if you think you have enough food and wood income, delete them to free up population space for more military. That you can do later on, when gold and stone is running low and you have all the resources you need and the resource income you need. Then you can start deleting a few of your villages. One reason for that is later in the game I've already paid a lot of the expensive upgrades. I've went through the ages, which cost a lot of food, food and gold. Yeah, I've done all that. So I actually need a few less villages. So I can either think, okay, I need more wood or more food or a steadier income, faster income, or if I don't, kill the excess villages to free up your population space. The next thing you should look out for is my nicely walled in base is now, it's got a lot of holes. Because I was using the woods and the gold and stone as kind of part of my makeshift wall, and all of that is gone now. Like over here, there's time for a new wood for a lumber camp. And yeah, that's not good. Often people tend to ignore this, which is problematic because later on in the game, when you're kind of busy fighting at the front and not really paying too much attention to your base, a very small group of enemy units could just get in here and kill all my villages, and that is actually what loses you the game. So I would always argue for make sure your base stays safe. So all these places that open up, it doesn't need to be awesome because you don't need huge amounts of defense, but you need some. The thing here is your opponent is not going to just ignore that. Your opponent is not going to get in with like tons of troops. This is not the most efficient, but it doesn't matter, it's just about the point. He's not going to get in here with tons of troops during a battle, because while he is fighting you in the front lines, he might be able to divert a handful of units back to your base. And if you're walled in, then that doesn't help him, because with like, if he can spare 10 hussars or light cavalry, or 10 cavalry archers, something like that, that could really wreck your economy. Those units later on can kill villagers ridiculously quickly, but they have almost no chance of getting through a wall. So if you're walled up more or less well, use these as fertilizer. If you're walled up more or less well, then you're somewhat safe from that. You're not 100% safe, you're never 100% safe, but it's better than nothing. So, wall up. Very important, I think. Don't feel too safe with it, because there's always a gap in the wall somewhere, but even if it just takes him longer to find the gap, then that's good enough. Buying you time is always important, and always valuable. So that's what I'm trying to do later in the game. Make sure you always have resource gathering, like the lumber camps close to the wood line. Make sure you don't have too many idle villages. It happens to everybody, it happens to pro gamers. That's just a thing with over 130 villages. You can't keep the, tabs on all of them at the same time. But it is important to try. And keep your base safe from raiding, because raiding, quite a lot of games are decided by raiding. Now, next thing, I have all these resources. What am I going to do with them? Well, here's another thing that's sometimes made the mistake, that people don't build enough production buildings. This is not perfect because they're all in one place, and if I get attacked here, somebody could destroy all of my production buildings. So ideally you want to spread them out more than I've done here. I've just done this to show you. And you've seen that when I got attacked by the knights over there. I could just pump out a huge army in no time. If I have just like 2 or 3 barracks, that will take ages to build up. Like, how many do I have here? 42 something, 40 something, maybe 50 halberdiers. If I only have 2 or 3 barracks, that takes ages to build up an army like that. With this I can build it up in seconds. So let's say they're all dying. They all got killed. All these units, just some terrible tragedy. All my units died. Oh, they're still all working, I hope so. I'll just fill them up again. And my castles. Where's my last one? Over there. And as you can see, it's really quick. I'm almost at 40 again. Yeah, that's 40. And I'm back on my population limit. And that is what's very important. You want to be able to pump out troops so quickly that even if your whole army gets wiped out, as long as you have the resources, you should be able to replenish your army in seconds. Less than a minute. Of course you need tons of resources for that, and you need tons of resource income for that, and that's why you have that huge army of villages. Now, yeah. Okay, now we're getting into the fighting stage, or the fighting tips, and there I have one main tip I'd give everybody who wants to play Age of Empires 2. It is not important to kill your opponent's army. Your opponent's army doesn't matter. It matters a bit because it could kill you and it might be in your way, but killing your opponent's army is not going to win you the game most of the time, or quite often. For one simple reason, what you saw over here, even if all of them die, I can replenish them in seconds. So if you kill all of them, yeah, in the long run that might become problematic, but early on, or for quite a while, as long as I have resources, I won't care, because they get replenished super quickly. You want to destroy your opponent's economy. If he doesn't get resources anymore, then he's not going to be able to replenish his army, and if I kill his army then, what's he gonna do? Die. Surrender. Or I just destroy everything. So what I'm trying to do is, ideally I would use the main force to fight his main force and to bind his army. And then I take a raiding group. This is way too big for a raiding group generally, but again, this is just for show. And I'm going to try to find his economy. I'm going to try and find his villagers. Where is he? The easiest AI is a little bit strange. It just doesn't do anything at all, apparently. Well, it's the easiest. But that's what I want to do. I want to go in, find his villagers, and kill them. Because they are what matters. He's not even attacking me. That's cute. So, there are his villages. Those need to die. And even if he sends them in there, okay, then I just go away. Try to find other villages. There are other villages. And that's what I kill. Maybe I shouldn't have done this with the easiest AI, because, well, he doesn't really have any villages I can kill. Wow, the easiest AI is a joke. But yeah, go for the villages. Those are the important targets. Destroy his economy. Destroy his production buildings if you can. Because, again, if all of these die, it doesn't matter too much, especially because these are very cheap. If they all die, I can just make tons more. Because my economy is safe. I have tons of production buildings. What's going to happen? Nothing. So, very important for the late game, try to kill your opponent's economy. Try to destroy the monasteries where he has his relics. Okay, he doesn't have any, I don't have any, but usually you go for relics, or you try to get relics, and that's important, destroy them. Kill his economy, kill his villages. Don't kill his army, kill his capability to create an army, and then kill his army. If you kill his army while he has tons of resources, tons of villagers, and tons of production buildings, you're just going to kill an endless group of, or an endless tide of units. And I've had games like that, especially on Black Forest, where we talked about not cutting through the wood, so we had like a choke point where we just had to fight, and we were just for an hour pouring huge armies into each other, which was fun. But generally that can lead to a stalemate that is endless. And yeah, you don't want to do that. You want to kill their unit production capabilities. And if you kill their unit production capabilities and you keep yours, you win. That's simple as that. Okay, now I'm going to just murder the AI and reiterate or make a summary of what's important. So just you go in there and wreak havoc. find yourself a build order or an opening strategy that fits your gameplay style. You don't have to use the one I use, or I showed you there. There are many different ones that go for more villagers early, go for a different distribution of resources, depending on what you want to do, whether you want to go for an archer rush, or for a tower rush, or for a defensive play. Just find one that works for you, practice it a little bit so that you can reliably execute it. The second thing, always keep your town centers working. Build tons of town centers, build tons of villages, at least half your population, usually more, should be villages. Very important. You can almost never have enough villages, especially early on. New players usually make the mistakes of having not enough villages. I don't think I can remember ever seeing anybody having not enough, having too many villages early game, or anywhere. People new to the game, I've never seen that. Next thing, you have the villages, you have the town centers. Make sure your base is safe at all times, or safe-ish. You're never safe, but you can at least, if your opponent wants to raid you, make it difficult for him. Make him work for it. Make him work for every dead villager. If it takes his army quite a long time to find a hole in your wall, or if he has to break down a house, that takes time, and that's better. At least his units are bound then somewhere. Build enough unit production facilities. Tons of them. Depends of course on what you want to build. I've just built tons of archery ranges and I didn't build any archers, but sure, it's better to have the buildings that you want to use, but on the other hand, have archery ranges, have siege workshops, even if you're not necessarily planning on using them, because when your opponent is starting to build something that you need to respond to and build counter units, it's just faster if you already have at least a few of those buildings there. If you have to build the buildings first, that could take too much time. Make sure your resource income is steady. So build lumber camps close to the wood lines. Try to find and secure gold spots and stone spots. Gold is a bit more important most of the time, but it depends on your strategy and your civilization. And yeah, probably forgot something, but that's my main points. My main hints and tips for people new in Age of Empires. And for those who have not played Age of Empires ever or in a very long time, I urge you to try it out again, or try it out for the first time, because it's still an amazingly good game, and the new civilizations are really fun. They're nice to use, and yeah, it's still all around a great game. So long. Maybe I'm going to do more of these, maybe for specific maps, what you can do on them, or what people, especially new people, often do wrong, and how they can improve. But yeah, let me know if you want to see more Age of Empires stuff. My name's Kamaleao, have a good time. There's a little bonus, this is hilarious. You can see the villager high means the highest number of villagers you ever had. For me it's 132. I thought it was 133, but I still had that one scout from the start. So that one scout. He had 8. And while this is an extreme case, this is often what happens in online games, like me having when I played against new people, or when I was the new guy. When I was the new guy I had maybe 60 villagers, and the guy who was at top had like 130, 140 villagers. And yeah, that's just way stronger, having more resources, getting more stuff in, being able to field a new army faster. So yeah, villagers, very important.